Let me tell you about two teenagers that fell in love. I'm going to keep them anonymous out of respect for them. And she is Donna and he is Bill. And when they were 14 years old, they were the only they were living in a culture that outside their culture, so they really had bonded together because they were two of a kind, and they became very good friends, and they fell madly in love. And since their romance was overseas, it was just a matter of time as to one of them left. It started in the 8th grade, and they were best friends, and he always protected her from anybody that was mean, and she also protected him, and he didn't know back then that she loved him. Then they went to different high schools, and they didn't see each other for 4 years. And eventually he just left the island. And and she was heartbroken. She was absolutely heartbroken. She felt like he rejected her. But actually, back then, a minute was probably $25 to talk long distance on the phone. So they just drifted apart. And she went on with her life, and she went into the army. And she married once for a very brief time. But after that, she just decided to move to another state because she had some slight disabilities, and she decided to go to a state that would best be beneficial for all her disabilities. So she moved across the nation, and she really built a life for herself. In 1989, she developed a small network of friends, and very, very, very happy. And at that point, 1989 till 2008 or 9, I never once heard her talk about a man. Actually, we celebrated all of her dogs' birthdays. That was her life. And when you called, you asked about her dogs and what was going on in her life. But all that really mattered to her was her dogs and her two best friends. And so she just seemed to be happy. And then all of a sudden, this young 14-year-old boy who is now in his 50s, in 2010, calls her out of the blue. How did he get her number? Since she's partially blind, she could not use the internet. So he found another sister's name on Facebook and contacted that sister. And that sister said, no, absolutely not. She doesn't want to talk to you. She had no interest in talking to him because she was afraid of getting her heart broken again. So she was adamant, do not give him my phone number. Do not give him my phone number. But he pressured her enough. So finally this sister, the one that didn't want to see him, Donna said, okay, give him my address. Let him write me a letter. So he didn't like that idea of a letter at all. So he pressured, finally got the phone number. So by the time he called Donna answered the phone like this. Listen, Bill, I don't need a friend, and I don't need a pen pal. So unless you've called me to ask me to marry you, you can just hang up right now. He said, Donna, will you marry me? He said, Donna, I've been married twice to the same woman, and I now know that the reason it didn't work is because she wasn't Donna. And they continued their phone calls because they had 3,000 miles between them, and they were able to reminisce. He had medical issues he had to take care of. She couldn't move because of her blindness. So all they could do from that point on, before they could get married, was to talk for 12 hours a day on the phone. And they talked and they talked. And the minute they heard each other's voices, they knew that all those feelings had come back. Well, as soon as he was good enough, he got on his plane, he got his backpack, and he went out to see her. And she said, the only thing I want from you, Bill, is do not come on a day that my nurses come. I have medical issues that I would really be embarrassed if you saw, so if you could do anything, please do not come on a Tuesday. Well, ironically, I guess the least expensive ticket was on a Tuesday, and he had one leg amputated, and that's why he took so long to get out to see her. And ironically, he walks in at the same moment in time when he arrives as the nurse, who happened to be a nun. And they walk in together, and Donna's so embarrassed and awkward. It's been over 40 years since they saw each other. And she was all embarrassed, especially about her bandages and everything. And he lifted up his pant leg and he said, "At least you have a leg." They told me later that the minute they saw each other, it was like no time had passed. They knew they were meant for each other. And it is an amazing love story, because here was a man that was totally housebound. Here's a woman that was totally housebound. And through the power, what I would say is God, what many would say is the internet, whatever, just serendipity, these two people were able to find each other and live happily ever after, as they call it, 42 years in the making. So this is the most amazing love story I've ever heard in my life. I hope it's inspired you to know that it's not over. There's always room for hope.